Hey guys, welcome back to Half Bloom. I'm your host Nadia, and we are here for episode 4 of the series. Today I have a lot of topics that I wrote down beforehand up here, and like I promised last week, I'm going to be able to read from a series of notebooks that we collect different people's stories and things that they're thinking about, etc. Before I ramble off, I want to talk to you guys about the situation here at the cafe. So it's been about a month since we opened now. It's I think in the process of trying to figure out like what it's meant to be, there's like every time you write a review on Naver, it kind of like adds like the AI adds to like what the cafe is. And so there's like a one liner of a cafe that tells you like what it is. It said something about like 친절한 설명 and like casualness, and that like nice and service mindset I think is kind of a part of what we were going for. So we're getting there. I mean, we only have like 20 reviews, but I hope we can build more this month as well. It is peak summer. Monsoon season was supposed to hit, but it kind of came and never really came. And so it's just very humid and hot right now. I have also noticed in the general landscape of things how coffee consumption has depleted over time. Compared to last year's summer, this summer has been incredibly quiet, and I'm not really sure if that's like a trend with all different coffee shop owners as well, but that's definitely something we've been noticing. And being able to stand out and serve people, I think, is gotten more difficult, but I also think there's hope with us. And so going to the coffee that I'm drinking right now, you can see how it's a simple Americano. It is the new Blossomier. I think I talked about the new blends last time or like 2 weeks ago, about how we wanted to create new blends for this cafe. Although the nuttier, like the darker blend, is the same for both cafes now. It's actually the winter blend called Starlight Travels, and this one that I'm drinking right now is Blossom Air. So it's like the revised version of Blossom Air from a long time ago. This is actually an Ethiopian blend, and I'm excited to be able to like have like a present set available for everyone soon with all the different seasons. I finally feel a little bit more confident and proud to be able to share this blend, especially since it wasn't created on my own. And I hope that more people will be able to taste it and understand what our brand is going for. So that's the coffee of the day. I'll talk about more of like the events of what we're doing at the cafe at the end, just so I can give you guys like last minute updates of what we're doing. I don't know about you guys, but I wander off, and I don't mean physically. It means I ask the strangest questions at the most randomest times. And of course, I'm not the tidiest person in the world, so I kind of work on one thing here, and then I kind of move over to a different section and work on something there, and then I make a mess, and people have to like clean after me, and I feel bad, especially my mom and my partner and everyone at the cafe who's had to like clean up after the mess I've always had to make, because it makes such, it's like a huge pile, and I am training myself to be able to finish one thing before moving on to the next. I mean, we talked about like focusing and concentration last time, so that's kind of what I want to be able to do. But I guess thoughts are the way that you can see random and wandering thoughts can be both very positive and negative. Negative because it kind of prevents you from being able to focus on one thing, but it's also very good because it's fun. It kind of gives creativity. It kind of gives a different vibe, energy to the room. And like I said, sometimes it's not helpful at all. Like the questions that I randomly thought of recently is like, where did coffee even come from? Like how many people had to die tasting different kinds of cherries before they realized that coffee was a thing, and how many people had to go through like making coffee or like eating the coffee cherry first and then taking it out and using the seeds and like grilling them and roasting them and steaming them and doing all sorts of things that people do to seeds and beans, and then realize that once you roast them you can grind them and then put water in them and drink it like tea. How many years did that take? What kind of people, what kind of brilliant scientists, human normal scientists had to go through that? Also, like, who decided to have school start at 7:30 a.m.? I know biologically kids are supposed to wake up at a later time, so why do we start earlier to match the lifestyle of adults? And why are we adults at 18, at least in the States? Why do we see coffee as something bad for our health sometimes? Why are there so many myths that we have to debunk for everything? Why do we say things are correct all the time? Why can't we believe in a certain thing that's a little different? And this is something that I thought about a lot when my grandparents or my grandfathers passed away. The idea of where souls go after life. And there are a lot of, I guess, religions who think differently of what afterlife means. And I've been seeing random like studies about like quantum life and like your soul traveling through different universes once you die kind of thing. And so, what if there is a soul, and then what if there isn't? What does it mean to do all these rituals after death? Sometimes you cremate people, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you trap them in like a coffin. What if that prevents people from leaving? What if cremation prevents you from creating a body afterwards? Like all these different thoughts of like what is right. And I really do hope that it doesn't matter what happens to you, that whatever happens in the afterlife, if it does happen, I really do hope that like whatever we try to do to humans once they die here doesn't afflict them in any single way. But I'm planning to actually adapt this I Wonder If series on Instagram as well, because I just do feel like it's a very interesting way to approach the questions that I've had, to be able to delve deeper, because these curiosities are inklings of desires and wonders and things that we want to know. And so to be able to delve deeper into them and like ask questions of why is something this way, or like why is something that way, or just kind of creating connections of, am I the only one who thought of this before, or have you also thought of this before as well? And so I want to be able to take the chance to be able to connect with you guys on that as well. So look forward to that. One other thing that I've begun to start to think about is the idea of networking. One huge thing is going to university. As someone who went to an Ivy League university, I was able to realize very quickly that networking and being able to have alumni network and also be surrounded by people who are like-minded is a huge, huge privilege. And that was not really a skill that I had. Of course, I worked hard. I worked my butt off to be able to get to that point of entering that university, but it also really has to do with luck. It's the personality they wanted. It's the type of person they want. And so it's not necessarily a singular created skill, but more, I guess, of an ability to be able to, match the requirements and then enter that school. But I never want to hinder people from thinking that networking is not worth it. We live in a society where people are connected in some sort of way. And as much as we want to be alone in everything, I desperately like the more and more you learn about people, the more and more you have hope, but you also feel betrayal and doubt towards them as well. And so being able to understand how to be as sunsue, or I guess naive slash innocent in a way. I think sunsue is a little bit more naive than innocent. And being able to maintain that naivete, I feel like that's more French, is is very difficult. And the more and more I realize that I'm going through like adult life, the more I realize that it's hard to maintain being naive. And to be naive, you have to not be naive, as my partner once said. And I think I'm kind of understanding that now. The more that I realize, and the more that I bump into people, the more that I develop a sense of worldview, the more that I realize how difficult it is to maintain being naive. And I do hope that if you are struggling with trusting anyone and believing in other people, that you can just, I guess, take time for yourself to be able to trust in other people again and not, fall into the abyss of fear. But it's difficult, isn't it? But that's why I kind of wanted to talk about love today. in a very light-hearted way. I don't want to delve deep into like the theory of love or what it means because I am no expert, and I'm sure there are a lot more experts on this than me. I've only gone through so many experiences, and my idea of love. And that's the reason why I wanted to talk about it, is because today I actually have this notebook, right? And the first page is 오늘의 나에게, which means to me today. So someone wrote 아침에 잘 일어났다. They were just proud of themselves for waking up early. Someone failed something. They had an exam and so they failed the exam. But 아무것도 모르면서 40분을 고민했고 컨닝하지 않았으니 괜찮다. Basically, she didn't know anything, but she kind of just worked really hard. Like she thought through it really hard for about 40 minutes, and she's just proud of herself for not having cheated on her exam, which that's so cute. And then the second page, I just really need to show this before we go on to the topic of love. If you're watching through YouTube, is our one of my favorite little girls, Jiani. She drew this rainbow. Like I said, there's like this introvert sector in the corner over there, and you're able to like write all these thoughts on these notebooks that we have like laid out over there. And she decided to draw a rainbow, and wrote her name, which is so her. And being able to like sit down and develop something and create something, this little 5-year-old, I think it's something that we forget to do in our lives, just trying to create something on our own without anyone having to look or wanting to brag to anyone. It's just the idea of creating this beautiful rainbow to her was just something that she felt like she wanted to do once she saw the colored pencils. And I think when you see like a rainbow colored pencils, you just want to draw a rainbow, and being able to, get deep into that desire of her, which she probably didn't think much of, is something that as adults we need to discover again to be able to play with our minds, with our surroundings. Okay, so now we are ready to talk about this, what is love? So I want to talk to you guys about what the two people have said here in the notes. I'll read them again in Korean first and then in English. It says, 사랑은 옆에 있지 않아도 그 사랑 덕분에 행복하고 그 사람의 사소한 것들이 내 삶의 원동력이 될 때이다. 아픔마저 감수할 수 있을 만큼 끝이 보여도 후회하지 않을 것 같은 확신이다. 다음에 올 때도 이 마음 꼭 가지고 올게. So I'll translate it in English. Love is when, even though they're not there, because of them, you are happy. Their smallest things become your own drive, your motivation. Even through the pain, and even if you see the end, it's kind of like a determination that you're not going to regret anything. And she has in parentheses, next time you come, let's maintain this mindset. The second one says, 인생을 공유하는 것, 함께 있지 않아도 마음속에 넣어두고 행복이라고 부르는 것, 어쩌면 아무도 모르는 것이 사랑인 것 같다. So again in English, it says, to be able to share life, even though you don't have them always with you, to be able to keep them in your mind, in your heart. It's also called happiness. Perhaps nobody knows what love really is. So reading these two, I realized that they don't always have to be there. And to be able to love someone, you don't always have to stick around with them. It's that, newness, it's that difference that kind of actually makes you want to learn more and be with the other person. And so I guess it's not always a good thing to be able to, grab a friend and be like, let's do everything together, but rather find friends who have different interests, to have different perspectives that will help you, guide you in becoming a better version of yourself. But of course, the biggest thing here is to be able to hold your ground. And that's actually something that I'm trying to learn, is that you need to be unselfish to be selfish, not selfish to be unselfish, if that makes any sense at all. And so through this, I always like to talk about like languages, right? And how the different ideas of words and the different languages affect the way that we think. And today, I think I want to talk about this idea of love in both the way that I approached it in English and in Korean, especially. And then, of course, I can talk a little bit about the Japanese, but French, I haven't really approached deeper feelings with people in French before, so it's kind of hard for me to say. But Yeah, as an Asian American, your parents don't tell you they love you. They kind of just show it in making your toshirak for you. I remember listening to my friends who are not Asian, obviously, talk to their parents on the phone, and they would say like, "Okay, mom, I love you, thanks." And I was so jealous of being able to like say that so casually. At first, it was really cringe, and so I didn't really want to like copy them. But like, the more that I heard this kind of like connection and conversation with their parents, I was like, why can't I do that with my parents? Like, I want to show them I love them, and I know they love me, and I want to receive that too. I want my parents to tell me they love me, and so I remember I kind of went up to my parents and kind of hugged my mom and said, "Mom, I love you." And she was like, "Oh, get away from me." And she like kind of like pushed me away. And at first it was a little painful. And then the more I did it, the more I just kind of just did it just for the heck of it because I wanted to just express myself. And obviously, growing up in the States, being able to say I love you to someone, it takes time and it means a lot. But to me, the word 사랑해 was just very awkward. It's just a very hard word to pronounce for some reason. And so I just kind of felt very like awkward saying it myself. Okay, a quick interlude on this awkward part here. I wanted to just express that the saying 사랑해 because I had never heard it from my parents before, only on TV. I didn't feel comfortable saying it to anyone really. And it wasn't awkward because it was the wrong person, but more because I just never had spoken it ever before. But over time, after loving someone so deeply, I have now come to realize how much depth that word maintains and holds, and it means a lot to me now. And being able to develop a deep connection with that word as you get used to the culture and the language, I think is fascinating as well. And so that's kind of the point I wanted to touch upon, not the fact that I can't say I love you in any other language because it still means the same in your heart. It's just, I guess, 쑥스러워, or what's the word in English? Like kind of like you get a little shy with saying that word in that language. So that's what I meant. Just wanted to clarify. And of course, going to Japanese as well, like being able to say like aishiteru is kind of difficult, especially when I see anime. It's always like ski or like daisuki, right? It's just the idea of the ways that people confess, the ways that people express their love can mean different things and approach differently in different ways for different people. And I think it's fascinating to see how each person reacts and expresses that to one another. And I actually really am curious about all you other Asian Americans who have a second language. Do you guys say I love you in your second language? Or did it also take time for you to put as much emotion into it in the beginning? Because saying like I miss you or I love you or you mean everything to me in Korean just felt very like drama like to me, and I mean it in every single way possible whenever I do say it. And that's why I think language is so fascinating, how even though a language or a word can mean the same thing, the amount of meaning and depth that you put into the words also is different. And that's why perhaps language sometimes doesn't actually mean much, and it's all the actions and feelings and not as much the words. So I guess that's kind of the moral of the story here. So to wrap up, I want to talk about one last thing. Next Saturday, the 12th in the evening, we are actually hosting an event called Movie Mate. It's the first time I'm actually doing like a community thing here. And so one of our team members, she actually works for like a movie agency. And so she wanted to host this kind of like movie community thing here. And so she's bringing in like 3 different indie films. We're going to be watching them on the huge beam projector here and talk about it afterwards. It'll be super, super casual, and I'm really hoping that a lot of people will be able to come talk about not only the movies and enjoy their time here, but also be able to find some kind of connection, whether it's with the movies, whether it's with the coffee, whether it's with the space, or with one other person, or even with themselves. I hope you guys will be able to find a moment of happiness, because that is what this is all is for. It's so that we can find moments of happiness and develop a greater happiness for ourselves. And if you want more information on that, don't forget to check out my Instagram and also the Instagram of all the different cafes, because we are plastering all the different posters on there as well. But that's the little mini plug-in that I wanted to put in. It's the first little plug-in. It's mostly just like, hey, we're doing fun things here, and I hope you can be a part of that community, because that's what we're here for. And so, yeah. I'm going to cut it a little abruptly here today because we got to open and I didn't take into consideration that. And you can hear the sounds going. And as usual, I'll leave you guys with a couple questions of what do you think is love? And have you ever had moments where you couldn't express yourself in one language or any language for that matter? I'll see you guys next week.